Is Emperor Ashok mentioned in the Rajatarangini as a follower of Jainism? And why did he hate the Ajivikas? Okay, so the Rajatarangini is a 1100s text, 12th century text, written by Kalhana, who was a northern Indian, Kashmiri chronicler, historian. So Kalhana was a Kashmiri historian. He wrote this text, the Rajatarangini, which is essentially a record of the lineage of our king, our royal family's kings, and all that. Uh, it's a record of our history, and he wrote it in Sanskrit, and that's called the Rajatarangini, the flow of the royal dynasties of India. So in this, Kalhan mentions Ashok, of course. He mentions Ashok as a follower of Jina. It sounds like Jain, like he's Jain. He's being described as a Jain in that. Maybe it's possible that maybe the word Jina was used to describe Buddha and the Buddhist thing as well. We're not quite sure. It's a little confusing. So yeah, he does mention Ashok as a follower of the Jina, and he also mentions that Ashok is the king or emperor who constructed Srinagar. So I'm not sure. I mean, Srinagar can refer to, I don't know. We know there's one Srinagar in northern India and Kashmir. I'm sure in the past there could have been multiple cities called Srinagar. So it's a little confusing what's mentioned about Ashok, Emperor Ashok in the Rajatarangini. But yes, he's mentioned as a follower of Jina. Now I'm not sure how to interpret Jina, either as being a follower of the Jaina Pantha or a follower of the Bauddha Pantha. Not sure. It's a little confusing. Uh, why did Ashok hate the Ajivikas? The Ajivikas were one of the ancient philosophical schools of thought of Dharma, or one of the ancient Dharmic philosophical schools of thought. It no longer exists, and we don't even have their texts. So their texts have disappeared. We don't know a lot of detail about their philosophy. Uh, I believe that the Ajivikas believed in super determinism. You know, the Big Bang. I mean, we'll not go into physics, but super determinism is a concept in physics, in theoretical physics, that the Big Bang happened and everything. I mean, if you can calculate the positions and momentum, etc., and positions and momenta of all the particles at or just after the Big Bang, then you can calculate everything that happens in the future with a little bit of uncertainty thrown in. So that's super determinism, and the uncertainty is purely random. It's quantum mechanical. So that is the super determinism of physics. Now, the Ajivikas had this concept of super determinism, that everything is determined in the beginning, and there is no free will. Whatever we are doing right now has already been determined. So the past, present, and future are already determined, and there is no free will. They believed in the existence of the Atma, soul, and it was, but they did not believe in God, perhaps. So that's the kind of philosophy they had. They also had an atomic theory. So Vaisheshik probably borrowed atomism, perhaps from Ajivika. I'm not sure. Now, it is said that Ashok uh, persecuted the Ajivikas and had several thousand of them executed. I'm not sure how true this is, but one hears this claim being made. I'm not sure what the basis of the claim is. I'm not going to research it right now. Uh, it is said that apparently somebody made a derogatory drawing or representation of Gautam Buddha as bowing down to one of the leaders of the Ajivikas or something like that, and maybe that enraged Ashok, and that's why he had several thousand of them killed. That's one possibility. Another possibility is that maybe it was a political thing. Maybe the Ajivikas had thrown their weight behind his political opponents, which would have been one of his brothers or half brothers. That's another possibility. The third possibility is that this never happened, because we know that if you go to Bihar, okay, in eastern India, and there is something called the Barabar Caves complex, the Barabar Caves, and these caves, I mean, it's not just these caves, were not built in a single go. uh, it is believed that Ashok built one phase of the caves, and his one of his descendants, Dasharath, I believe, Dasharath Maurya, built another phase or another section of the caves. And there are inscriptions that lend credence to this theory. Now, these caves were used by the Ajivikas. So why would Ashok build caves for the Ajivikas if he was their enemy and if he hated them? So it's so it's a little confusing, and we're not quite sure what the truth is. I'm not sure if it's true that Emperor Ashok persecuted the Ajivikas, and the Ajivikas did continue as a sect, as a philosophical school of thought of the dharmic umbrella, well into the Gupta era. The Gupta era is about 4th century to 6th century roughly AD, more or less, give or take. Look it up exact what the exact dates are. So they existed during the Gupta era, the golden age of India, and they may have existed beyond the 10th century AD also, perhaps. But today, the Ajivika philosophy no longer exists. Nobody follows it, and nobody even knows the details of it, right? So yeah, when it comes to ancient history, there's a bit of ambiguity and a bit of that sort of thing. So we're not quite sure if Ashok actually really hated the Ajivikas and if he really did persecute them or not.